Events, I've been so lucky to connect with many passionate entrepreneurs worldwide. What I've learned from a business perspective,
because this is the formula for success, no matter who you talk to. Attitude will drive your behavior. Would you agree? And your behavior will drive your consequences every single time.
We got the concept. Okay, we got the concept. We got the equipment, right? We got the brand. You guys got that. And then again, we got the content that we create. That's the easy part. This is the big one, the big C, which is the commitment.
What should you do? That's right. All right. 10Xers, do not fail me. True test. Here it comes.
There's skill, and then there's will. Listen to what I'm saying. There is skill, and then there is will. And here's the interesting thing. I know a lot of people who have a lot of skill, but have no what? Will, right? You ever look at somebody who's successful, and you say, why them? Why not you? Yes, okay, that's me too.
You have more control, but your costs are also going to be what? Higher.
Now, here's where some of the magic is starting to kick in.
You can talk to any CEO in the B2B business, any CEO. You walk into his office and they only care about three things. People too. Yeah, you with the suit, put it up. There you go. I hope you can see this. I'll try to draw big. Let's pretend for a moment that I had 7 territories. You remember I wrote that out? Yes or no? Boom. Territory 2, territory 3, all the way to territory number what? 7. So now I've segmented my market.
So content is going to start being created by machines. And I'm telling you right now that those people, you guys, the content creators that connect with people are the ones that are going to win. Some people think, well, it won't work for my industry. Really? It'll work for any industry. Trust me. The majority of the time when we're looking to fix something, repair something, or learn something, where do we go? YouTube. We don't even want to read anymore. We go to YouTube. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong.
When you're doing your thing, beautiful things begin to happen. It's like the law of attraction kicks in. You know what I mean? It's almost like you're in line with the universe. Everything works. And when you do your thing, everybody gets an automatic MBA, which stands for what? Mega Bank Account Money. Are you with me? So we don't want to do a thing. We want to do a what? Beautiful.
All right, put it all together for Victor Antonio. Here we go.
All right, there we go. I'm not here to mess around. You ready to learn, yes or no?
That's how it works in today's market. Whether it's B2B or B2C, you see the similar patterns. How do you just, in other words, say you got to start doing these things, pushing them, but also encouraging them. Oh, look at this. This is where it gets, dude, this is like so interactive with audiences, man. Can you imagine this with your customers? Check this out. Now, what does all this have to do with selling? It has everything to do with selling.
All right, what's happening? Thank you for joining me on another episode of Sales After Dark. And I'm going to jump right into it, man. We're going to spend about 10, 15 minutes. And then at the end, if you have any questions, I'll take those at the end. So let's talk about this objection called Let Me Think About It. Now, every time I raise this in my workshop, I challenge people, right? And I said, all right, I'll say, let me think about it. You tell me what you're going to respond with. What would you respond with? Put it in the chat, right? What would most people respond with? Most people say, well, what do you need to think about? Well, that's kind of, a little confrontational. Well, how much time do you need to think about it, right? And it can go on and on. Well, can we think about this together? Can we think through this together? You hear it feels very awkward. So what I want to do is revisit something. Now, this is going to blow your mind because I came up with this objection, and I want you to look at the date. Since I'm updating this, because this was, let me think about it. And if you look down here, 1.5 million views and about 7 years ago. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to revisit this one because this objection never goes away. But in that podcast I did 7 years ago, I've realized that I've missed something. And that's what I want to share with you today. I'm almost kind of call the Let Me Think About It, version 2.0. And yes, a lot of people have taken my content and passed it off as their own. Not cool. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's talk about why this is important. So when we talk about, let me think about it, let's understand why it's important. If someone says, let me think about it, and your response is, well, how much time do you need to think about it? And can we talk about it tomorrow, after you think about it? What happens is that the sales cycle gets longer. Now, for anybody who's been watching me long enough, I talk about the Sales Velocity Academy, in this case, the Sales Velocity Equation. And what's the Sales Velocity Equation? If you take the number of opportunities, right, also known as the number of leads that you currently have, you multiply it by your close rate, you multiply it by your average deal size, right? How much on average do you sell? And then you divide it by your sales cycle, how long it takes you to close a deal from a sales qualified lead to closing a deal. How long does it take you to close? Let me think about it impacts the denominator right here, because the longer it takes to close, the shorter, or I say the slower your sales velocity is. So what we want to do is when someone says, let me think about it, how do we approach that? Now, side note, you got to have this response I'm going to teach you on the ready. By on the ready, I mean it's got to come out of you like sweet like butter. No hesitation, no pause. So if someone says, let me think about it, one thing you don't want to do is like, what do you need to think about? How much time do you need to think about it? If you tell me how much time do I need to think about it, I say, well, I'll just need a few days. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to ghost you, right? Not going to show up, right? Or if you say, well, what do you need to think about? Well, I need to think about a lot of things. It just gets uncomfortable, as I've said. So here is the ultimate solution to let me think about it. This works because it goes with how the brain works. See, when you ask somebody, well, what do you need to think about? They got a lot of things in their head, and they can't organize them that quickly to give you the answer you want, right? They need to think about it, sort things out in their head. So what we're going to do is play how the brain plays. In other words, let's understand the brain and then work with the brain to try to get a response out of the client. Here's what I mean. The brain loves choices. Should I go left or should I go right? Should I go up or should I go down? Should I go front or should I go back? Right? The brain loves choices. So we're going to use that choice, option, momentum to keep the conversation going. In other words, we're going to guide the conversation. Notice I didn't say we're going to try to control it. We're going to guide the conversation. So let's begin. If someone says, let me think about it, right? If someone says, let me think about it, then here's what you're going to do. You're going to provide them with an option. And the option is going to be one of two, right? The first one is you say, not interested, or you're interested, but not sure. Here's how I deliver this one. When someone says, for example, let's say Lauren. Lauren says, Victor, let me think about it. I'll say, Lauren, when someone tells me they have to think about it, it's usually because they're not interested or they're interested, but not sure. Which one is it? Now, I do this. I use my hands when I deliver this one. It's usually because they're not interested or interested, but not sure. Which one is it? Notice I stayed with the interested, but not sure. The majority of people, 9 out of 10, if not more, are going to say what? No. Victor, I'm interested. I'm just not sure. Now let's slow the film down, the video here. When someone says, no, I'm interested, I'm just not sure. Now the fact that they said they're interested means you're talking to the right prospect. They're just not sure. So what you need to do is reaffirm that statement. Lauren, I'm glad you're interested, and this is what you're looking for. When someone tells me, here's the transition, when someone tells me they're not sure, it's usually for one of three reasons. Now, pause again. Stop the tape, right? When someone says one of three reasons, your brain immediately goes, what are those three reasons, right? So again, let's go through the script. Let me think about it. Again, when someone tells me they need to think about it, it's because they're not interested or interested but not sure. Which one is it? No, Victor, I'm interested. I'm just not sure. Well, I'm glad you're interested, and I'm glad this product is what you're looking for. And when someone tells me, Lauren, that they're not sure, it's usually for one of three reasons. The first one is maybe you don't think that the product we're offering you is a fit. Let's be real specific. Let's use pools, right? big client base of mine sells pools, right? So maybe I could say to you, Lauren, is this pool not the fit? Is this not what you were looking for? Now, Lauren has to say either yes or no to this one. Again, what are we doing? We're going with the option piece here. And so he has to tell me, is this pool a fit for what you were looking for? In other words, we got the width, the length of the pool, we got, fireplace or fire pit, whatever. Is it not a fit? Lauren now says, no, Victor, it's a fit. Now, if he says, no, it's not a fit, then we correct that, right? But most likely he's going to say, no, it's a fit, Victor. It's a fit. I said, well, Lauren, if it is a fit, then maybe there's some feature, I'll go big screen here, maybe there's some feature that you're looking for that we didn't show you. Is that it? Now again, notice what I'm doing. I'm funneling the conversation. So again, it is a fit. Glad it's a fit. Well, is it a feature? Is there something that you're looking for that we missed, that we didn't include? Now again, at this point, Lauren has to tell me, no, Victor, it's got everything I need. But if he doesn't have it, he's going to say, well, I really wanted, this feature in the pool, so forth and so on, right? He wanted that, right? Again, once you have it, you're great. But let's say that, he's going to say, no, Victor, it is a fit. Already we got it out of the way. He says, no, it does have the features I want. It's exactly what I was looking for. Then I'll say this to tie it down, Lauren, and now notice how I repeat this. Lauren, if it is a fit, and it has all the features you're looking for, then I have to assume that it's a finance issue. Is that it? Right? Is that it? Now at this point, you're going to get to the heart of the matter really quick. Right? Now again, we could talk about how we could have pre-qualified this early on in the sales. But assuming you didn't pre-qualify for budget, right? Or you didn't get the number out of them, this is one way of drilling down. So again, let's go through it. Someone says, let me think about it. You say, Lauren, when someone tells me they have to think about it, usually because they're not interested or they're interested but not sure. Which one is it? No, Victor, I'm interested. I'm just, I need some time to think about it. I'm just not sure. Well, Lauren, first of all, I'm glad you're interested. And again, it's always good to think through things. But let me ask you a question, because when someone tells me they have to think about it, they usually have to think about one of three things. Brain leans in. Like, what are those three things? First may be that maybe the pool that I designed for you isn't a fit for what you were looking for. Is that it? Now notice that the brain just has to go yes or no. Lauren says, no, it's a fit. Then maybe there's some feature that we didn't include that we left out, or maybe that's something you're looking for that we're not aware of. Yes or no? And again, if they tell me, yeah, it's this feature, great, that's a new conversation. Now we deal with that one, that specific feature and that objection. But if they come back and say, no, it has all the features I'm looking for, then repeat the following line. If it is a fit, it has every feature you're looking for, then I have to assume it's finance. Is that it? And again, in many cases, can't give you a percentage, but in many cases, people are going to say, yeah, it's more than I expected to pay. I'm concerned about my monthly payment, and because interest rates are so high. That could be it, right? And sometimes people feel bad about bringing this up. Now, this is what I had in my original video that I posted 7 years ago. Here's something I've learned, because I've seen this happen over and over again. You've qualified up to this point. They're interested but not sure. Then it is a fit. They do have all the features you wanted. They do have the money. And they goes, no, Victor, it's not about the money. It's not the money we got. I just need to think about it. Here's what I've learned. There is a fourth F. In other words, it's a great moment. First F, second F, third F. There's a fourth F. And the fourth F is fear. In other words, something in your presentation didn't make them feel comfortable enough to trust you. This is a tough one to define and explain to people, because I have to be there to watch you do the presentation to see where you may have lost them. If a customer doesn't see that you've taken their point of view, I want you to watch my last live. You need to take their point of view and understand what they're really looking for, right? That's their point of view. Second, you need to position yourself as a subject matter expert. In this case, you better know pools exceptionally well, because that transmits confidence to the customer. And then if you put a proposal together for them, keep their best interest in mind. In many cases, we lose the deal because we simply don't communicate that confidence or imbue the clients with the confidence. Let me say that again. Many times, what's happening today, especially in the market, there's so much information out there. There's so many options out there that people are looking for somebody to trust, to buy from. So again, if I can empathize with my customer, position myself as a subject matter expert, and they know that. They know that I understand what they're looking for. They know that I understand pools better than anybody else. That gives them the confidence to make a buying decision because that's what's holding people back. You heard of FOMO, right? The fear of missing out. And we now hear FOMO, which is the fear of messing up, making the wrong decision, also known as buyer's regret, not buyer's remorse. Buyer's regret is making the wrong decision. So instead of making the wrong decision, some people choose not to make a decision rather than be wrong. So here's where you come in. The salesperson today is the ultimate sales differentiator. Product differentiator, service differentiator. Let me say it again. You are the differentiator. In today's market, products almost look alike. Services almost look alike, right? It's hard to create real differentiation in the market, but it's how you present your product, your service to the client that will determine and give them the confidence to want to make a buying decision and go with your company. So if it is a fit, if you've presented all the features exactly to their specification, what they wanted, and it's not a money issue, finance, then somewhere in your presentation, you didn't get rid of fear. And I always say selling is about two things, right? There's certainty, anxiety. Certainty, anxiety. And if there's an equal amount of both, customers won't decide. If there's too much anxiety, obviously they're not going to decide. What is our job in selling, in presenting, in framing a conversation is to increase their certainty and reduce their anxiety. That difference right there between certainty and anxiety creates a confidence margin. And in many cases, if they're not buying, it's because they're not certain and there's too much anxiety. And that's what our job is. So from now on, when someone says, let me think about it, again, funnel them through the process. Let me think about it. When someone tells me I have to think about it, it's usually because they're not interested or interested but not sure. Which one is it? Choice, right? No, I'm interested. I'm just not sure. When someone tells me they're not sure, it's usually for one of three reasons. Which ones? First, is it a fit? Is that it? Yes or no? Yes, it's a fit. Is it a feature we miss? Yes or no? Now you have everything I asked for. Then I have to assume it's finance. Is that it? And again, by having this in your repertoire, your arsenal of conversation flow, you'll have a much better dialogue, but you'll push the sale forward faster. In other words, shorten the sales cycle. Let's look at the alternatives that I mentioned earlier. Most people say, what do you need to think about? How long do you need to think about it? Should I call you tomorrow? Again, it extends the sales cycle. But what you do with this framing is you almost skip over that blockade, that mental block, by helping them think through, funneling down this, helping them think through what they really need to think about. Try it out. Let me know how it works for you. Look forward to your feedback. Anyway, I'll take some questions here. Laurent Goldstein says, this is such an important objection to discuss. It's a big one. On the next one, I think I'll do the, when you need to talk to your boss, or if you're selling, let's say, for example, residential, when I need to talk to my spouse, husband or wife, right? We'll deal with that one next time. Do you not outline the options? Jim Duffy says, Victor, do you not outline the options initially? Yes. I mean, so this is, if we give them, for example, what I would do is always offer three options. By the way, there's two ways. That's another webinar. There's two ways you can do it, Jim. One is that you do the fully stacked, all the options, right, in one proposal, and then begin to remove stuff, right? The other one is to offer three options. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I favor the three option, right? And I try to hit their budget. As I mentioned in my last live broadcast, one above their budget and maybe come in a little bit below their budget. And they always go for the middle one or one above their actual budget. So I like preparing options. But what I'm saying is that if they get there and they look at the three options and say, I just need to think about it, right? You know you have a problem because you've covered the budget. You've identified the budget. You're within their budget. What's the problem? And a lot of times, Jim, it's fear. there's something in the presentation that scared them off. Maybe you didn't answer a question correctly. Maybe you hesitated. Maybe you weren't clear, things of that nature. Number 2 for Jim, maybe again the fear issue, but they also want objective person to look at the deal. This is a B2B deal, not a consumer deal. In the B2B deal, that's where I came from, right? Long sales cycle deals. Obviously, you know, when you're dealing with B2B, which is not a transactional sale or a residential sale, let's just say a B2B sale or direct-to-consumer sale. When you're looking at a B2B sale, first of all, many complexities, right? 7 to 11 decision makers, right? So, but even if I'm having a one-on-one conversation with the influencer, and the influencer can say, you know, Victor, I want to take your product or service to my board, right, or whatever, my committee. I just need to think about it, right? You can still use it right there to push to see where the influencer's hesitation really is. Let me know if I answer your question, Jim. I like how you bring them down a primrose path, but a more sophisticated buyer will see this as a process. Jim, anything, if you frame it like this is a process. Everything we do is a process if you think about it. But I think if you do it in a way that doesn't come across as, hey, you know, when someone tells me, they have to think about it, you know, and that's why you can kind of, I always say, use your own language, as long as you understand what the process is. So for example, we can change the language up here. If you don't like this language, adjust it to how you would use it, Jim. You know what I mean? Something that sounds very natural to you. So for someone says, let me think about it, I can just jump right into it. I said, you know, Lauren, when someone says they need to think about it, it's usually because of one of 3 things. And I can just jump right into it. I can skip this whole process right here, right? It's usually one of 3 things. And then you can kind of play with it a little bit, Jim. Maybe I didn't show you the right system design, B2B, right? Is this system not lining it up with what you were looking for, what your team was looking for? On the fit, am I not hitting the objective you were looking for? In other words, you wanted data analytics to measure certain KPIs. Are those features not included in there, or maybe there's something missing in there? You get the idea. And again, you can have a very general conversation and still walk them down, as you put it, that primrose path, but it becomes a dialogue and a conversation. This is just a structure to get over the hump of, let me think about it, as opposed to saying, how much time do you need to think about it? Let me know how that works. Give me some feedback on that, Jim. I'm open to debate here. Michael, I always love how you deliver your message. It's light yet loaded, man. Okay, always loved you, man. Thank you very much. Question, how to not make clients feel they are not being cornered. This is kind of what Jim is saying. And he is exactly right. That you have to you find your own phrasing. What mentally I want you to walk away with is that there is a way to guide the conversation, whether it's down this path or one that you design. But again, what I can't teach you is how to use your own skill. In other words, the way you sell and how you say it. I can't teach you that. You have to find the words for it. But I'm telling you, you can massage this, even if it's a B2B or B2C, you can massage this in such a way that you're kind of guiding the customer because you know where you're going. But what I love about this approach is that as soon as someone says, let me think about it, you say, well, usually one of 3 things. And now you're helping them sort it out. But here's the key part. Tell me, and this is for Jim, tell me if you agree, and Michael, tell me if you agree. If someone says, let me think about it, and then you leave there and you don't get an answer, the chances of you closing that deal go down dramatically. We can all agree with that. Number 2, someone says they think about it, you think you left there doing a great presentation, when in reality, they're not really satisfied with your presentation. And you don't even know that. And you leave there and you go tell your manager how great the presentation was, only to have to tell your manager later that they ghosted you. My point is that we spend a lot of time, effort, money trying to get in front of a client. And I do not want to leave that room without an idea, or at least an indication of whether I'm in play or out of play. That's all I'm saying. That's the big part here. Okay, I got a couple of more. Hold on a second. I just got to scroll back up on the broadcast here. All right. I really like what you do in terms of the framework. Thank you, Jim. Then Jim Duffy, I'm going to need to Google Primrose Path, says Chris Stone. Let me see. This is back to Jim. In a complex sale, you may have this conversation with all the buyers. That's what I mean. There's like 7 to 11 buyers, right? And so it's not very linear. So to your point, you're absolutely right that this is more applicable to, let's say, B2C. But you can still use it in those B2B moments. When someone says, I like your proposal, let me think about it. You can still find ways to kind of, put it in there, as opposed to just saying, okay, think about it, get back to me. Find your moment, Jim. Find your moment, man. But you're absolutely right. Ziliko, if I got that wrong, I'm sorry. Would it be safe to assume that this objection would arise if our qualification was weak? Yes. If so, wouldn't this be an opportunity to take the chance to use this objection to uncover more pain and further qualify? Yes. Perhaps they are just buying time, which is natural and buying. Am I wrong on this? No. So in other words, when someone says, you could be absolutely right. It's not an absolute, right? So first of all, if you've qualified the buyer early on, then you know it's not a financial issue, right? So it's either a fit or maybe some feature that you missed because you know the finance is there. So if we can just delete finance, Z, I'll just call you Z, right? Okay, if we can let fine, because we already qualified that. But if we ask the right questions, for example, fit and feature, we should have that also down. So for example, let's go back to a pool analogy, and then we'll do a B2B example. If I asked you enough question about what you're looking for in a pool, in other words, before I even jumped into my presentation or did the walk around, I asked you all these questions as far as what you were looking for and what would be the ideal pool. If I'm selling B2B, I'm selling you a wireless system, I don't know, a fiber optic network system. I'm asking you, what are you looking for? What are the ideal conditions for this to be a hit, something that lines up with what you're looking for? So if you've done all that, then you know it is a fit, and I would ask the question, did I miss anything on the feature? Probably would be the only question I ask. And then if you know what their budget is, if you qualified that, then I say the big one, Z, is fear. Something's holding them back. That's always the toughest part about selling. Sometimes it's holding them back, but the buyer won't tell you what it is, right? So maybe when it comes to fear, because I can say something like this, if it is a fit and the feature and it's finance, then can I ask you a question? This is where you can be very direct. What's holding you back? Is it something I said? Is it something we didn't show? At this point, you're just asking for something. If the person says, no, I'm the type of person that really likes to take 48 hours to think about everything before I make a final decision. And that could be absolutely true. And at that point, you say, all right, let's reschedule for 48 hours, right? So again, it could be, to your point, that somebody really needs the time to think about it. So, and again, if it's a B2B, that's for sure. They have to take the information back. And again, we can talk about what do you do when someone says, let me talk to my committee and then I'll get back to you. And we'll talk about that in the next broadcast. That's a good topic, by the way. Jim Duffy, I agree. Would it be safe to assume that the objections arise if, okay, you got that already. Yeah, that's true. Thanks. Okay, Michael, thank you. I don't have a manager, but I want to learn. Mike said, I watched your video where you used the tower framework. So it's like before you hit 1 million sales, you dissect it to 100,000. There must be a line of sight and focus on steps to getting there. It's like this one. Yeah, I mean, that's another video. But it's all about line of sight. So Z Radinsky, I got the last part right. Thank you. Anyway, I just want to jump on here a little bit. I'll jump back on, let me see, what is today? Sunday. So I'll be back Wednesday with another Sales After Dark. I'll probably do let me talk to my boss, let me talk to my spouse, and I got some great strategies for you, things that you can use. Hopefully this has been useful. I will say this. If you just understand the structure, as Jim's pointed out, the structure, the flow of what we're trying to do, guide them down a path, but work out the language in your head first, the way you would say it, the way you would naturally say it. It is more powerful when you do it your way. Use what I'm offering here as a guide and then kind of add your flavor to it. On that note, thank you all for joining me. Have a great evening, or if you're international, have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.